Hello, hello. Good morning. I am only half moved into my office and I am still going live. First time doing YouTube live. Very excited to have this time with you guys. Happy New Year to you. I am really excited to share something that I was inspired to create because I think it's going to be beneficial for you. So, if this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, seeing me, hearing my voice, my name is Kathleen and I am a coach by trade and by choice. I have a degree in counseling, but I choose to practice as a coach. And the reason for that is because I really believe in helping people move forward in their lives. I work specifically with women who are in transition, who are looking to leave behind toxic beliefs and toxic patterns of behaviors, and are ready to level up in their quality of life and the way that they live and experience the world. And I wanted to pop in here live just to kind of share a little bit with you guys about a guide that I created. So this morning, so I went to bed last night. Didn't do anything special for New Year's, but I went to bed last night with the expectation that the new year, the new day was going to bring some wonderful things, right? I'm really excited about 2023. Literally moved into a house a couple weeks ago. And so I was really excited about what the new year is going to bring. And one of the things that I wanted to do um, is just spend more time being inspired and spend more time walking in my purpose, like feeling like my life is in flow. So for me, flow is really important. And that's where I feel inspiration. I feel like I'm in alignment. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, that this is what God wants me to do. And when I line up that way, what ends up happening is I feel really good about the actions that I'm taking. I feel really good about what will be produced. Okay. And so I want to have flow all day, every day. I want to feel flow all the time and I want to experience flow all the time. And one of the things I know for me is to feel that sense of flow, you've got to take action when you feel inspired. So part of that is having a spirit of anticipation and expectation. And I know sometimes some things that us coaches say is like, that's like very woo woo or not really practical. So here's my practical example of what it's like to have a spirit of expectation. I live in Indiana. We expected to get some snow around Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And so everybody was just kind of watching, waiting, and seeing whether they were going to be able to do their holiday gathering, what have you. But nobody sat around and was like, well, I guess I don't know what I should be doing with myself. Everybody who is in Indiana who knows what it's like when you might get snowed in, you might get a foot of snow or a sheet of ice on the street. We all know how to prepare for that, right? So, because I was preparing for that, I ordered some salt from a driveway. I picked up the shovel because I didn't have one, and all these different things that I had kind of lined up because I'm expecting something to happen. When you're expecting something to change in your life, you got to be doing the same work. You got to do the same type of thing. A lot of times, what happens though is because we haven't had that thing that we're looking forward to, we don't really know how to prepare for it. We don't know what we should be doing in that place of expectation. And in those moments, my recommendation for you is that you do a lot of reflection and remain open to what that might look like. So for me, I got up this morning and I decided I'm not going to get up and run and go have my breakfast and have my coffee. I'm going to quietly, gently, calmly, slowly take my time, go ahead and get a shower. And then I was like, I'm going to soak in a tub too. And as I was getting ready to do that this morning, I felt completely inspired, so much so that I had to like voice note it on my phone because I couldn't catch everything that was coming to me in that moment. And then I spent the rest of this morning creating this thing that I'm getting ready to share with you. That's how inspired I felt this morning. And I know that it was exactly what I was meant to be doing. So if you are a person who is saying, I'm ready for a transition, I need something to change. I've been doing the same things over and over again. I'm really tired of it. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I feel stuck. I feel like I'm doing the same things over and over again. I've set the same vision board pictures for the last 5 years. I've had the same goals for the last 10 years. I'm getting older and I want something to be different. I don't want to, have my life go on down the road without me. I see things, I'm excited and I'm inspired by them, but I don't know where to go. And you want to get unstuck and feel good about the action you're taking. I created something for you. What I created is called the Get Unstuck Now Guide. And it's really a very simple PDF. And I'll make sure that the link is in the description of this video so that you can download it as well. It's a very, very simple guide that will guide you through some questions that you can ask yourself to get that clarity so that you can have that spirit of expectation, so that you can get into the right state of mind, the right energy to feel inspired so that you can do the things that you need to do. If you are at all a person who is interested in meditation, manifestation, the law of attraction, these types of things, if you're at all curious about that, maybe you don't understand it yet, but you're kind of curious about it. One of the things that I will tell you is that the emotional state that you're in matters. So if you spend a lot of time feeling stressed, nervous, worried, guilty, embarrassed, ashamed, unhappy, frustrated, if you feel a lot of time in that space, it's hard for you to transition to a higher space, right? So if you want to feel more joy, you have to consciously choose joy, right? If you want to feel more excitement, you got to consciously choose excitement. If you want to feel more peace, you have to constantly choose to lean into peace. And you may not have a whole big, like daily experience of it. It might just be a tiny little pocket in your day where you feel a little sense of peace. You got to lean into that, right? And so doing a little bit of reflection, asking the right questions, not the wrong ones, right? But asking the right questions will help you get some of those pockets of peace. And so I wanted to share with you some questions. So I have in this guide, there's actually 57 questions in this guide. I'm not going to go through all 57 of them, but I am going to go through a few of them so you understand kind of what I mean by this. And there's like an introduction in here. So it kind of goes over some of the reasons why we struggle and feel stuck. So if you have some kind of questions about that, it's actually a very normal thing to feel stuck and to be stuck because our brain is designed to keep us doing the same. That kind of longing, that desire to do a little bit more, a little bit different, that'll come. That's a natural part of the process. But our brain is going to go back to, well, this is what we should be doing. This is how much food I should put on my plate. This is how long I should sleep. So you've got to consciously override your brain with your mind. And those are two different things. And if you're not sure about it, drop a comment and I'll be happy to come back and do a video for you. You got to use your mind to override your brain. Okay. So this guy will help with that. So I'm going to go through 3 of the questions. And there, like I said, there's a total of 57 questions, but I'm going to go through the first 3 here with you today that are super duper important that I think will really help you. And I have questions that are specific for all the different areas where you might want some personal growth. You might have goals that you're working on. So there's lots of different areas that we can touch on in these questions, but I'm going to go first with the 3 that I call the open door questions. And really, I call them open door questions because the idea of these is to open the door to possibility, right? If I was coming to your house with $1 million, you're not a millionaire until you open the door. So the goal is, how can we open the door to the anticipation, to the reflection that might give us what we need to get to the next direction? Okay. So question number 1 is, where am I right now? Where am I right now? Now, where am I right now? Maybe your physical space, right? You might be looking around like, oh my God, I hate this house, or this house is too cold, or this house has got roaches, or this house doesn't have what it needs. It has a leaky roof, what have you. But more importantly, like, where am I completely? Where are you in your mental state? Where are you in your physical state? Where am I right now? It's really important that you get honest about where you are. A lot of times when we're not happy with our situation, we kind of avoid the truth. So, and I'm going to speak from the truth, to speak my own truth in this situation. When I was really struggling financially, about to file bankruptcy, I stopped opening my mail. It was hard for me to acknowledge that there was bills that I owed that I could not pay. I didn't answer my voicemail, right? I didn't check the voicemail. I would see the numbers and I would just go ahead and decline them, right? You don't, if you are maybe hoping in 2023 you'll get to a different size or different weight, and you're not putting on your jeans that you know you won't be able to zip, and you're instead always reaching for the sweatpants so that you feel a little bit more comfortable. Not that comfort is a bad thing, but if you're doing that to avoid the truth of the fact that you've gained the weight, be honest with yourself about where you really are. That'll set you up for question number 2 in just a minute. But before we get to question number 2, I just want to tell you, even if you're not where you want to be today, and you're saying, I feel unhappy, unsettled about this, I want you to give yourself some compassion. We live in a world right now where people do not give compassion. And I think part of it is because they don't experience compassion. So even if you don't have anybody in your life who's being compassionate towards you, I want you to give yourself some compassion right now. Okay. And what I mean by that is, I want you to acknowledge that even if you've made some bad decisions, even if you've done some things that you shouldn't have done, even if you're in a situation that you're not really happy about right now, you still have value as a person, and you deserve grace, and you deserve to feel peace and security. When I say give yourself compassion, is really the idea of, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We recognize that the baby has value even if he's covered in poop and needs to be showered, right? So you got to do that for yourself. You got to give yourself the compassion that you need, that you deserve, that you should have, rather than always weighing yourself down with that guilt and that shame. Okay. The second question is, how do I feel? So when you start to get compassionate with yourself, you kind of have that lens of curiosity. What am I actually feeling right now? In the guide, I include the link to a list of emotion words, because believe it or not, most adults do not know enough ways to express how they actually feel. And there's a lot of evidence that if you can clearly articulate how you feel, even to yourself, you'll get a sense of relief. So if you're starting to feel hopeless and helpless and frustrated and overwhelmed, just being able to acknowledge that can give you a little bit of relief, right? It's kind of like if you have a word that you're like, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I went to the store. I can't quite think of the name. Oh, what was that name? As soon as you think of the word, you're like, oh yeah, there it is. You get that little bit of a positive neurochemical boost in your brain. So if you can name the way that you feel, it gives you a little bit of that positive neurochemical, so they give you a little bit of relief. Sometimes that relief is just enough to help you shift into a different state of mind. So use the emotion words to describe how you actually feel. And then this is the key. Where do I want to be? Now, sometimes this can be your physical state. Like, I want to be, I'm living away from my family and I want to be at home for Christmas next year. Maybe part of what you want to change is your actual location. But once you start to get clear about where you are and what you feel, then you can start to look at what you want to feel and where you'd like to be. And that clarity, hopefully, will get you into a little bit better of an emotional state. Okay. So if you have a little bit of clarity about how you want to feel, then you can kind of lean into what are some of the things that help me feel that way? How would I feel differently? How would I feel, right? And so what you want to be able to do is then use that positive state to go through some of these questions. Now, my recommendation with the guide is that you're going to read through it first, right? Just kind of read through each of the questions and just put a star by anything that jumps out at you. So I'll give you a couple of examples of the questions, right? So if you're interested in maybe setting some physical wellness goals, one of the questions I have that you might not have expected is, how often do you prioritize your rest, right? As you're reading through these lists and you see something that pops up, just kind of put a star by it. For maybe spiritual growth and spiritual wellness, what spiritual goals do you have? Like, what would you like to be able to do? For me, one of the things I always am looking for in my spiritual growth is I want to be able to hear God's voice. I want to be able to feel divinely inspired. So when I woke up this morning feeling divinely inspired, I'm actually meeting one of those goals today. And I know part of what helps me with that is to lean into those moments and to do the thing that God is asking me to do, right? Or that I feel God is asking me to do. So if you have maybe a financial goal, maybe one of the questions for a financial goal is, how have you sabotaged your own financial goals in the past? Ooh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one, right? But if you acknowledge, in the past when I had opportunities to invest money, I was scared. I could say that for myself. There have been times when I had opportunities to invest money and I was scared because I didn't trust that the investment was going to produce as quickly as I needed it to be, or I felt afraid of the opportunity, right? Maybe there have been times where it's like, hey, when I, had access to a little extra money, I spent more than I should. And I wish I would have invested that. If I'd invested the money that I had instead of spending it on, a trip or a new outfit or whatever, maybe I would have had a different situation. So being honest about that can be really helpful. If you're looking to maybe be emotionally more healthy, I know a lot of people who are struggling with their mental health and their emotional well-being. One of the things that I think people don't ask is, what is the emotion you experience most in your daily life? Are you spending a lot of your time in a negative energy emotion, right? Are you spending a lot of time in fear, in overwhelm, in guilt and shame? So there's a total of 7 categories of questions. And my recommendation, like I said, is go through, kind of mark each one of the ones that you think kind of like, that sounds like something I want to know more about, or that sounds like something that might give me some clarity. And then take as much time as you have. So maybe you have 30 minutes, maybe you have 20 minutes, maybe you have an hour, and answer these questions honestly for yourself. I really recommend writing them, right? But if you're working with a professional, like a mental health professional, and you want to bring some of these questions up with your professional, that's great too. If you have a friend or a family member, a spouse or a partner or children, you could share some of these answers back and forth. But I really think some personal reflection is great. And then the next step would be decide what goals you want to make, aligning with what awareness you have from this guide. That's how you get unstuck. Now, for some of you, you'll notice that some negative emotions come up, or you'll feel a lot of resistance to some of this. I want to encourage you, if you have a struggle, to either reach out, and there's links in the guide as well, to schedule maybe a discovery call with me. The other option is I have an upcoming workshop that is a really great opportunity if you would like kind of more of that coaching experience, or maybe you've maybe thought about talking to somebody, but you haven't had any one-on-one time. A group coaching experience is a really great opportunity to get that feel, that vibe. And I have one coming up next week. So, depending on when you're watching this, I will make the recording available so you can always get access to it. But um, the 2 dates that are available are January 10th and January 14th. So January 10th is like a lunchtime session. January 14th is a Saturday, so it's a morning session. And I'm going to walk you through, and the workshop is called Stop Sleeping on Yourself. So it's for people who maybe lack in confidence because of some limiting beliefs. It's specifically written for people who've experienced trauma, who have maybe lived through poverty, or have transitioned through unhealthy relationships or toxic relationships. Is specifically for people who are saying, like, I need to bounce back and I need to be confident enough to do it. So it's called Stop Sleeping on Yourself. It's a great workshop. I'll make sure that the link is somewhere around this video so you can catch that as well. And I'd love to invite you to participate in that. So you can grab your Get Unstuck guide now. And you can also sign up for the Stop Sleeping on Yourself workshop. And I would love to help you. I'll also include a few links about how to get in touch with me if you want to maybe work together personally. So you guys have a great rest of your day.